This installment is for men, particularly men with some decision-making authority who are asking, I'm supposed to work more closely with women, help them advance within the organization, but I'm afraid of being accused of sexual harassment, given the hot topic that is. And this installment's actually for people who work around those men, so it's really for everybody, but that's the focal point. I think it's a reasonable question when we talk about improving inclusion and diversity in our organizations. We do talk about the importance of people in authority positions working more closely and interacting more with people who are not like them. That's how people learn the rules of how to succeed in an organization and get opportunities. So that is a hot topic. At the same time, there's no hotter topic than sexual harassment, and I think striking the balance between those two things is a fair question for somebody to ask. The fact that somebody is asking the question is a good sign, because that means we can have the dialogue, we can think about how to balance these two things. It's going to be very situation specific, like most things, but let's talk about just a few guidelines I think can be helpful in having that supervisory person be comfortable when, say, traveling with a employee of the opposite sex, be comfortable in how they interact with them. So first of all, just meetings. Certainly I would always suggest strongly that no business meeting take place in a hotel room or any place where there's a bed. That can be challenging if you are in our business, if you're away for a trial for a period of weeks and you have sort of a war room or you work on everything and have everything set up. It may not be economically effective to have a separate meeting room that's not somebody's larger hotel room, but it's certainly something to avoid however you can. And in any event, to create a workspace that does not even create the potential appearance of crossing over with personal space. Meals are another tricky one. I hesitate to say don't have any meals together because it is sometimes those less structured, informal interactions where people do learn how to succeed within an organization. So we don't want to put a stop to those. But we do want to be very careful. We want to be very aware of a situation that may be misinterpreted or that the two sides may have different interpretations of. So a few things to keep in mind. One is a meal together should be entirely voluntary for the subordinate employee. If the travel is for an extended period of time, or even if it's not travel and just working closely together, probably don't want it to be every single evening dinner in a restaurant, for example. May want to have an evening that, hey, I'm going to go for a jog or going to call the family or things. So it's not an absolute routine. If it is in a restaurant, be mindful the corner table that you may want for a special occasion with your significant other is not the table to have with a coworker. When you're seated, I think it's best if it's two of you and you're at a small square table to be sitting across from each other and not catty corner. And I think it's valuable to have at least some degree of a business agenda for that meeting. Obviously, every relationship is very different. You may be more comfortable with certain people you work with over time to loosen up on some of these rules, but as I often say, you want to err on the side of caution because it's when people don't err on the side of caution that we get different people having different interpretations of situations. Otherwise, really all of the other principles we often talk about, which is open communications, so people are comfortable communicating somewhere within the organization that, hey, I'm not completely comfortable with this, and being mindful of appropriate topics of conversation, those principles will serve us well in these settings too. For the supervisory employee, if you're about to go on a trip or have a big project or what it is, and you are concerned, certainly have the dialogue with somebody in human resources. Sometimes we say, if you're not comfortable with human resources, talk to a coworker about it. For this topic, I really would stick to the professionals in human resources and talk it through and make a plan so you can achieve both objectives.